Hello everyone and welcome to day 6 of the 12 Knits of Christmas. Today's going to be a roundup video just because I thought it's like halfway through, so why not do a little roundup mainly for myself to check in, see where I'm fully at and be able to do kind of more of a almost like traditional podcast style video and show you where I'm at with everything. So let's start with the things that I finished. Let's start first with probably the smallest project, which I haven't touched since I finished it. So I decided I would make my niece a little bow. And you can see it is done, but the ends aren't woven in. I'm thinking about blocking it, but then again, because it's garter and I-cord, I think it's actually okay the way it is. And I just designed this myself by playing around with increases, decreases, and then a variety of different ways of tying a bow, so it didn't look like too chunky and clunky. And I'm still trying to decide if I should attach a hair tie to this or a clip or something. But it is meant to be like a hair accessory, so I'm still trying to figure out what to do. I think that's why I haven't made any progress, but I really should be weaving in these ends and getting it presentable enough, and then I can always decide later on. It will be a clip, it will be a hair tie. And so that's the first one that's done. Then we've got, I should actually start with the 3 projects I don't even have here to show you, but I'll include pictures, are 3 pairs of Sunday socks. So one of them is for my grandma, one of them is for my aunt, and one of them is for my cousin. And I suggest you watch the past videos if you haven't already about why I've done them. But those 3 are done. They have been sent off now. I said in my previous video that I had hoped it would be Friday, or no, Saturday morning, that's right. Then that didn't happen. Then I was like, Monday, that didn't happen. And then Tuesday rolled around and I was like, well, I should, but I'm not gonna. I just can't be bothered today. So they were sent on Wednesday, but it's all done now. And yeah, so that's 3 pairs of Sunday socks. The bow, that's 4 projects. Then another one that's done is for my mum. I haven't woven in the ends or blocked these. I kind of finished these and was like, whoop, on to the next one. And they really need a good block. But these are the Life's Better When Camping socks. So you can hopefully see there's trees and mountains and a tent. And this one has a camper van instead of the tent. And has the same like mountain peaks on the cuff and the toe. So I used Drops Nord for these. So it's an alpaca wool polyamide sock yarn, I believe. So fingering weight, but so it makes it quite fluffy and hairy because of the alpaca, which is a really good thing for color work. I did do some ladder back jacquard for the trees and also for like the camper van and the tent, because otherwise it would have been a nightmare. So you might be able to see that a bit better here. So there's just a couple of extra stitches in the back that you can't see from the front, or at least not really. You can see those less than the few places where I decided to catch floats. So I am in love with that technique. And these went by quite quickly. I will be honest, it wasn't the most enjoyable colour work. I think I already said that, but it really was the trees and the tent, because it was just constantly changing and there was no kind of clear logic like there is with the mountains, for example. It just wasn't that enjoyable. So I don't think I'll be making these again. But the other pattern that I've done, the Looks Like Rain socks, definitely making those again. They were very enjoyable. So there for my mum, I need to pretty much now make a pile of things where it's like weave in ends, block, do all the finishing touches, and this is one of them. So that's number 5. And number 6, I've got another one done, is the Lewsky which I've done for my dad. So it's just a hood with a drawstring. I won't lie, the drawstring instructions confused the heck out of me. Because in my head, I kind of viewed it as I think you need like 3 bits of a certain length of the yarn that you're using. You tie a knot on one end, and then you're meant to like twist, and then kind of bring them together and tie a knot. And I was like, yeah, but then I've got a knot on the other end. It was really confusing. And all I can say is if you have this pattern, the initial knot you tie forms one end, and then the other knot you tie forms the other end, and you have to chop off the ends to make it look normal. But what you're actually doing is you have your 3 strands of yarn and you fold them on each other in half. And I thought I needed the whole length as like the drawstring. You don't. You fold it in half, and that's what you use. So that's probably not going to make any sense unless you have the pattern and maybe tried it. But I use Plötulopi held double for everything, even for the drawstring. You can just see I used a different colour. This is the light ash heather, something like that, which I also used for my Cosmo cardigan, and this is just a dark grey one. And it was quick to knit, which isn't really a surprise, but I also really enjoyed knitting it. And you can just see kind of well, you might be able to see the shaping that you do at the top. There you go. And the only thing that was really frustrating is the band here, which is done in double knitting, because it creates a tube that you can then put the cord through. And the needle size that I had to use and the thick yarn, it just wasn't pleasant. So this has been washed and blocked, so the whole thing feels so much better than it did before because it was so tight. But I do think Plötulopi held double, it needed to be thinner yarn. But I didn't really have anything, and I met Gage, and I was just like, we'll just stick with it. But it'll be very warm for whenever my dad ends up going to a cold place again. He was just in Norway recently, where he needed this, but he didn't know he was getting it, and it's not like it was done when he was there anyway, so. But hopefully he'll have to go there again for work, and then he has that to keep him warm. So those are all my finished projects. So halfway through, but we're definitely getting closer and closer to Christmas. What next? Let's talk about some of the other projects for people. I'll leave my stuff for the end. One project that I've made some progress on that you've seen before is the Elve Slippers. I shared it last time and I was like, I really need to get a move on, but it's just the heel for the Elve Slippers that I find really frustrating. It's just quite challenging, especially because you haven't got many stitches, and once you've increased to the number of stitches for the full circumference, it's really easy. It's just the cast on isn't even that hard, which is normally the thing that I've heard people talk about. It really is just doing the color work and the increases on DPNs, which I don't enjoy. And Magic Loop is even worse in my opinion, so I've been doing DPNs. But I have finished one. So I'm quite happy. It hasn't been washed or blocked, obviously, because it hasn't been washed. Well, I guess you can steam block it. I've woven in the ends up here. I haven't done them at the bottom yet. And the yarn that I'm using is leftover Rauwerk DK, which I have from my Cindy's Choice socks that I've made by Isabel Kramer from 52 Weeks of Socks. And I've made a pair of these before using, this is more of a worsted weight than a DK, I have to say. And the pattern calls for DK, so this yarn is definitely thicker than it's meant to be. And I did say that I wasn't sure if the needle size was okay for the yarn. I think because they're slippers, it's probably good that it's a bit thicker and sturdier because they'll be even warmer, but the slipper has come out bigger than my other pair where I definitely met gauge. But going down a needle size would have been brutal with this yarn. I already think it's quite dense, and going any denser would have been awful. So I'm a bit worried that they'll be too big for the friend that is getting these. But because this is 100% non-superwash yarn, I was kind of playing around, like, should I give her my pair that I haven't really worn and I don't think she'll care? I'll give him a fresh wash and everything. And then I keep these. But then I kind of decided no. The whole point was to make sure that she had really warm slippers. And my yarn is 100% merino. So this is also merino, very different merino. And it's superwash. And these will just be warmer. So if they don't end up fitting her, I'll include a little note anyway. But I'll tell her that she can just kind of put them through the wash to felt them up a little bit, and it's fine even if she over felts them. You then just kind of have to stretch them over your feet, and then they fit really well, and then she'll have a pair of felted slippers that will fit her really well if this size isn't okay. Because I think the length might be okay, but I'm worried the width, that it's too wide for her feet. I can't remember if we have the same sort of width. And for me, they're okay. They're not as snug as my other ones. But yeah, we'll see. I've kind of settled on they can be felted if they don't fit well. And that's fine. So the first one's done. And I've made a start on the second one. Not even going to show it because it's just pathetic what I'm up to. You literally can't see because I've done the cast on and I've done the first 2 rows. So you'll just see a jumble of stitches on my needles. But so good progress on the Elve Slippers. To be honest, I think it was like 2 days, no longer, 3 or 4 days of occasionally working on, I'm exaggerating now because I'm like, it took so long. Pretty much what I'm trying to say, it took a long time to do the heel, and then the rest of this I did in a day. Because once you're working in the round, well, you're always working in the round, but once you're working without any increases, it's so quick and so easy. So I know I did need to push through the heel again, and not even the full heel, because once part of the heel still includes a couple of rows where you're not increasing anymore, and when I get to that point, I could already start working with my mini circulars. So I'm just being silly Nina. So first one's done. I am working on the second one. Then the last thing I already have on my needles, which is coming off the needles, is the Christmas vest that I'm making for my brother. So I've talked about it, that this is a sort of like hybrid of 2 different patterns. I'm using the numbers from is it called Trim Vest by Blacker Yarn Design, something like that. It's a Blacker Yarns pattern. But the charts are coming from the Festive Pullover by Skein. And this is how much I have. And I'll talk you through the changes that I've made once you've seen it. So, first things first. I've talked about this colour is very dark, very low contrast. I considered ripping it back multiple times and then went, no. I think it's kind of cool that you've got like a little bit of what's going on here, and then boom, bam, you've got snowmen. And you're like fully Christmassy. So this is meant to be really... It's meant to be an ugly Christmas vest, but in the best sort of way. So it's that ugly Christmas jumper that you love. The good ugly Christmas jumper. So it's going to be a vest, so no sleeves, and it's going to be buttoned. So you can see, hopefully, that there's a mess in here with the colour work. That's because those are my steek stitches. So I'm going to be cutting into it. It will be a V-neck. And is there anything else I need to add? Yeah, so I've planned out what charts I'm going to do, but I'm not too sure about the length yet. I'm just going to work until the vest reaches a length where I know at least I could wear it. I'm taking this with me to Dubai. I'm hoping Mum will have a sweater that's roughly my brother's size. Otherwise, I'll go to the shops and just measure it in the shops. Just to get a rough idea of how long it should be. I did a gauge swatch and calculated, okay, this is the circumference I need, how many stitches do I need, keeping in mind the number of stitches I need to make the charts work. And when it comes to doing the V-neck decreases, once I'm convinced I'm at that point, first of all, I need to put in steek stitches for the sleeve. Well, the arm opening, there won't be a sleeve. And I need to put in steek stitches. No, don't. The steek stitches are fine because I've got the opening. But I need to do decreases for the V-neck. And I need to think about, as I'm decreasing along the sides of the steeks, how am I going to do the colour work so it still looks good as you're starting to lose those stitches. So currently I've got it easygoing. You can obviously see it's bottom up, whereas the original Skandia design is top down. The vest pattern is bottom up. And when it comes to like vests and I was like, nope, bottom up is what it's going to be. So it's a bit risky because I'm kind of just winging it for the most part. Because I think the original vest design isn't steeked. It's not steeked because I chose to put in a steek at the front. And I've never steeked sleeve, like arm openings or like a neck opening. It'll be fine. It'll totally be fine. So it's currently easygoing. And I'll then just have to do some planning and calculating once I get further up. So I'm trying to make more progress on this, and at least now it's really fun with the snowman. And I have ordered more yarn, but everything's just delayed at the moment. But I'm not too worried. It will be here before I leave. And I decided to go not just for more of my main colour, which I was worried I was going to run out of, but I've also decided to go through other colours. Now that I'm getting a sense of what it's going to look like, I've decided to buy some more colours to make it even more ugly. So that's my brother's Christmas vest, slowly coming along. Then one other one that I've got on my needles is the last pair of Sunday socks I need to make. So I started these on Thursday when I was heading into work because I needed some knitting, and I was like, everything else I've got is either anything small like socks, is like cabling and lace, and I was like, not happening on the train. Or it was really big projects, and I was like, well, I don't want to do that either. So decided, well, I have to knit these at some point. Might as well get started now. And I'm on the gusset decreases now for the first sock. Good thing is, the person who's getting these has quite small feet, so it's not going to take too long to finish these. Smaller than the other 3 pairs I've made, and those I did quite quickly. So I'm not too worried about this one, and should be okay with the yarn. And I've got one more skein to make the second one. So 1 skein, 1 sock. It's 50 grams, holding it double. And I never want to make a pair of Sunday socks again, please. Or at least not for like until next Christmas. Maybe next Christmas I'll make more, but right now I am so done with them. So that one's on the needles. And the only project I haven't yet got on the needles is a pair of fingering weight socks, which I'm thinking about casting on for my flight to Dubai. Originally it was going to be the Sunday socks, but because I needed easy, quick knitting for heading into work and coming back home, and I was like, fingering weight socks just isn't going to be fun when I'm coming back from work and I'm tired. But it's the Sterntaler Socks, and I finally chose my yarn. I had 3 different ones to choose from, and I finally decided I was going to use, they're all from the Fibre Fox, but this is Roast Chestnuts, which is one of the colours from her Advent from 2021. So this colour is actually in one of my other projects. I just haven't got to that colour yet, but I'll share that soon. So this is the Twinkle Sock base, 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 5% stellina, 400 meters per 100 grams. So you can see it's this beautiful variegated and speckled colour. It's got gold sparkles running through it. And I love roasted chestnuts. But also, like, I think this colour is beautiful. So I think that I specifically wanted some twinkle sock yarn because I thought that went really well with the, like, theme of the socks, the story it's based on. And then it's just my 2 projects. So first, I'm so proud of this. I'm so proud of this. I got so far. I literally finished up the body yesterday. And this is my Juleskog Genser. So, body is done. It is rolling up a bit. It's twisted rib. And it tells you to cast off loosely. And I really made sure to cast it off loosely because I've made it quite long. And I don't want it to be tight around my hips and my butt. So, body is done. The first sleeve I've already shown off. And now all that's left for this one is just the second sleeve. And considering how quickly I did the first one, I'm actually quite hopeful that I can get this done really quickly. Because I'd like to try and wear it next week at work. Depends how cold or warm it is, because this is going to be very warm. But my last day of work this year, it would be really nice to wear my kind of wintry Christmas jumper. So we'll see. It does need a block. So it might be, my hair's everywhere, I apologise. But so it might be that it won't be dry in time. But I'm going to try my best to get this done, especially because this isn't a project I want to bring with me to Dubai. So it needs to be done before I leave. And actually that reminds me, I might as well talk about that as well. So I want to get this done before I leave because I don't want to bring this. The Christmas vest for my brother will be coming to Dubai because I'm also going to leave it there. Sending stuff to Australia is just tricky. And I'm hoping my brother will be able to go visit my parents at some point soon, or my parents will visit my brother, something like that. So then I'm going to leave the vest there. So the vest is coming to Dubai. The Elve Slippers I want to get done before I leave. Shouldn't be a problem. The Sunday socks are coming to Dubai, so there's no stress for me to try and get them done before I fly. Sterntaler Socks, because I haven't even started them, are coming to Dubai. And that's everything, isn't it? Yeah. So I have 2 more projects I need to finish before I leave. And then 2 projects I've started that I know my poet shawl. Speaking of poet shawl, I haven't really made progress because I haven't worked on it, because I know how much work needs to go into it, and it's not I've wanted to work on it, but when I have other projects that I know I can finish quicker and that I don't want to take to Dubai, I was like, this can wait. So it's not a lot. It's more than I did last year. So last year I only finished, or it didn't even finish day 1. I had day 1 and, oh no. Maybe I got to day 2, I can't remember. But I'm on day 3. And I'm getting to the point where I soon, I think, need to start incorporating day 4. But this is definitely coming to Dubai. Because it's not. This is the one project where I'm like, I might not be able to finish it. It's definitely not getting done before Christmas, but because it's for me, I'm kind of okay if it kind of takes a little bit longer. And now my new kind of deadline, ideally would be the end of the year. I doubt that's going to happen. Otherwise, it will be nice if I manage to finish it before the final video of this series goes up. So that's the 6th of January is when the last video will go up. So I really have until the 5th of January to try and finish the knitting, because I also need to then edit the video. And unless I kind of find some time, to knit on the 6th in the morning and then film a quick clip and put it into the already edited video. We'll see. I think everything else shouldn't be a problem. It's just going to be the poet shawl that I think I'm not going to get done. So, I need to finish the Juleskog Genser and the Elve Slippers before I leave. 2 projects, not a problem. Then the poet shawl the vest for my brother, the Sunday socks, and the Sterntaler socks are coming with me to Dubai. 4 projects. Like I said, I don't think I'm going to finish all of them. But the Sunday socks won't take long. Sterntaler socks, especially if I'm working on them like on the plane, but also the journey like to the airport and then from Dubai airport to my parents' house and things like that. I can see myself finishing those relatively quickly, especially because the friend who's getting those has relatively small feet, much smaller than me, which is nice. And other than the poet shawl, the only one that's giving me a bit of stress is the vest, just because while it is worsted weight yarn and like I think I'm using 5mm needles, or is it 4mm needles, it is slow going because it's all over color work. And I know my brother's quite tall, so I know I have to make it quite long as well, but once all the other projects are kind of done, this is going to be the main one I'm focused on anyway. Especially once the Juleskog Genser is done. That's the other big one. I'm hoping that next week before I leave, I'll have at least a day to really work on this. And then plenty of time in Dubai. So before Christmas, I doubt this will be done. But definitely before the end of the year. I can completely see that getting done. With the Christmas break and stuff, of not really doing anything and wanting to relax, I'll be knitting on this. Yeah, and the poet shawl at some point. So that's just, yeah, like I said, a quick for me, roundup of where I'm at with this project. And yeah, hopefully everything will get done. But the kind of important projects will be done. I'll have at least one thing done for myself. The Juleskog Genser will be done before I leave for Dubai. It might just not be blocked. But the gifts will be done for other people, and I might just not get my second gift. But that's okay. The gift is the fact I even got to knit on the poet shawl. And to knit all of this, really. I'm really enjoying it. And I hope it's been interesting so far to kind of get like little snippets every couple of days of what I've been up to. So, and once I've left for Dubai, I'll still be filming because I can't squeeze in that many videos, because I want to keep a couple of days in between because there's other things I've also been knitting on. But you'll see some bits of Dubai and what I get up to. So that will be a really interesting change from like all the wintry, Christmassy stuff you've seen. Dubai will be very different. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow in another video. Bye!